In a world of superheroes and gods, can Superman, the immortal symbol of power, overcome divine beings like Thor, the Asgardian god of thunder, or Zeus, the lord of the gods of Olympus? Let's embark on this journey where lightning collides with steel and human strength confronts the might of the gods. Superman, also known as Kal-El, is the symbol of ultimate power in the DC universe. He appears like a shining beacon in the sky of Metropolis, with his red cape fluttering in the wind, his eyes flashing with the light of determination. His power comes from the Earth's yellow sun, which gives his Kryptonian body superhuman abilities. He can lift an entire continent, fly faster than the speed of light, and withstand blows that could destroy the planet. In the DCEU, Superman has faced formidable foes like General Zod and Doomsday, proving that he is not only physically strong, but also mentally strong. When he faced Steppenwolf in Justice League, he easily overwhelmed his foe, with punches that shook the battlefield and a cold gaze that seemed to defy all limits. However, Superman's strength is not limitless. He has a clear weakness: kryptonite, a mineral that emits radiation that can weaken his body, making him as vulnerable as a normal human. In addition, magic is an element that Superman is not completely immune to. In the comics, magical entities like Shazam or Black Adam have given him trouble, and when facing gods like Thor or Zeus, who possess magical and divine powers, can Superman hold his own? Thor, son of Odin, is the Norse god of thunder, and one of the most powerful warriors in the Marvel Universe. In the MCU, Thor is portrayed as a war god with shining golden hair, deep blue eyes burning with pride, and the glittering hammer, Mjolnir, in his hand. He stands on the peaks of Asgard, where lightning streaks across the sky, as if nature itself bows to his power. Thor possesses not only superior physical strength, but also controls thunder, storms, and the divine energy that flows through his veins. In Thor Ragnarok, Thor proves that his power lies in more than just Mjolnir. When the hammer is destroyed by Hela, he awakens to his true power, summoning giant lightning bolts from the sky, shaking the entire planet Sakaar. In Avengers: Infinity War, Thor single-handedly confronts Thanos' army, using the Stormbreaker axe, a weapon that can cut through anything, and summons the Bifrost. In particular, in Thor: Love and Thunder, Thor demonstrates the ability to transfer the power of lightning to others, showing that his power is not limited to himself but can spread like a true god. Compared to Superman, Thor has some obvious advantages. His power does not depend on external environments such as the yellow sun, but originates from his own divine nature. In addition, Thor possesses the ability to use magic, an element that can exploit Superman's weaknesses. Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, forged from the core of a neutron star, are not only physical weapons, but also possess divine power, which can seriously damage Superman if connected correctly. However, Thor also has limitations. He often acts on emotion, sometimes lacking strategy, and his arrogance as a god can cause him to underestimate his opponents. Zeus, the supreme god in Greek mythology, is a powerful being with powers beyond human imagination. In the MCU, Zeus appears in Thor: Love and Thunder as an arrogant god ruling over Omnipotent City, a floating city between the stars, where the most powerful gods gather. He sits on a golden throne, with cloud-white hair and sharp eyes that seem to be able to penetrate all the secrets of the universe. The Thunderbolt in his hand, a weapon that shines brightly with divine energy, is a symbol of supreme power. Although Zeus does not directly participate in combat in the film, the hints of his power cannot be ignored. Thunderbolt, when used by Valkyrie, faced off against the Necrosword, a dark weapon capable of destroying gods. This shows the potential of Thunderbolt, even when not used by Zeus himself. Furthermore, Zeus's status in Omnipotent City implies that he stands above many other divine entities, possibly including the Celestials, who are capable of creating and destroying galaxies. In Greek mythology, Zeus overthrew the Titans, giant beings with primordial power, and ruled the universe with unparalleled power. If the MCU Zeus retained even a fraction of this power, he would be a formidable opponent. However, Zeus in the MCU has also shown arrogance and a lack of vigilance. When Thor attacked him with Thunderbolt himself, Zeus was taken by surprise and seemingly knocked out. But the fact that he survived a blow from such a powerful weapon shows his godlike durability. This begs the question, if Zeus were to fight seriously, could Superman stand up to a being whose power could match or surpass Thor's? A vast battlefield, where the sky is torn apart by lightning and violent whirlwinds. On one side, Superman hovers in midair, his eyes blazing with sunlight, his muscles taut as steel, ready to throw punches that could destroy mountains. On the opposite side, Thor stands firmly on the ground, his hair flying in the storm, Stormbreaker in his hand emitting blinding bolts of electricity, as if the sky itself is roaring in his support. In terms of physical strength, Superman has the advantage in speed and endurance. He can move faster than light, allowing him to throw a series of punches before Thor can react. In Man of Steel, Superman flew through skyscrapers, creating sonic booms that shook the city. In contrast, Thor, despite possessing godlike strength, has a slower reaction time. However, Thor's durability is a factor that cannot be underestimated. He survived being thrown across planets and the heat of a neutron star in Infinity War. A punch from Superman might stun him, but it's unlikely to knock him out instantly. In terms of weapons, Thor's Stormbreaker is a huge advantage. Not only is the axe sharp, it's also magical and can penetrate Superman's defenses. In the comics, magical weapons like Wonder Woman's sword have made Superman bleed, suggesting that Stormbreaker can do serious damage. Superman, on the other hand, doesn't rely on weapons but uses his own body as a fighting machine. He can dodge Thor's attacks thanks to his superhuman speed, but if Thor summons a massive lightning storm, Superman will be faced with pressure from all sides. Superman usually fights with intense concentration, quickly analyzing his opponent's weaknesses. Meanwhile, Thor tends to rush into battle with enthusiasm, sometimes ignoring tactical details. If Thor lets his emotions get the best of him, Superman can take advantage of the opportunity to land a decisive blow. However, if Thor stays calm and uses his full lightning power, he can create an unfavorable fighting environment for Superman, especially if the fight drags on and Superman doesn't have access to solar power. Where dark clouds roll across the sky, and golden lightning illuminates the entire space. Zeus stands on a rocky mountain, his white cloak fluttering, Thunderbolt in his hand radiating energy, as if the universe itself is trembling before him. Opposite him, Superman hovers, sunlight reflecting off his blue armor, his eyes sharp, ready to face the Lord of Olympus. Compared to Thor, Zeus is a more complex opponent. His power lies not only in his physical strength, but also in his ability to control divine energy. Thunderbolt, as seen in the MCU, can confront the Necrosword, a weapon that destroys the gods. If Zeus uses Thunderbolt at full power, he can create energy attacks capable of penetrating Superman's defenses. Furthermore, in mythology, Zeus has the ability to change shape, summon natural phenomena, and even manipulate time in some versions. If MCU Zeus possessed even a fraction of these abilities, he would be a threat on a cosmic level. However, Zeus in the MCU also shows arrogance and lack of actual combat experience. He seems to rely on his position rather than engage in direct combat. Superman, on the other hand, is a seasoned warrior who has faced enemies of equal or greater strength. If Superman uses his speed to dodge Zeus's attacks and gets in close, he can land punches powerful enough to stun Zeus. But if Zeus keeps his distance and uses Thunderbolt to create a constant storm of energy, Superman will have a hard time getting close. Another important factor is Zeus's durability. In Thor: Love and Thunder, he survived being stabbed by Thor with Thunderbolt, showing that his godlike body has endurance far beyond that of humans or even superheroes. Superman, despite his immense strength, is vulnerable to magic or divine energy. If Zeus exploits this weakness, he could gain the upper hand in a drawn-out battle. Superman excels in speed and physical strength. Thor excels in durability and magical abilities, and Zeus is the embodiment of supreme divine power. In a direct battle, Superman can overwhelm Thor in the early stages with his speed and strength. But if Thor summons the full power of lightning and uses Stormbreaker effectively, he can turn the tables. For Zeus, the outcome depends on whether he uses his full potential. If Zeus fights with concentration and harnesses Thunderbolt, he can surpass both Thor and Superman. However, if the battle takes place under the golden sun, Superman will be at his strongest, with almost limitless energy. On the contrary, if the battle takes place in an environment without sunlight, such as Omnipotent City or another dimension, Thor and Zeus will have the advantage. In addition, the psychology of the characters also affects the outcome. Superman fights with the will to protect humanity. Thor has the pride of a god, and Zeus acts with the arrogance of a lord. These factors can lead to mistakes or decisions that change the outcome of the battle. Superman, despite being one of the most powerful superheroes, will have a hard time facing Thor and Zeus. Thor, with his lightning powers and Stormbreaker, has the potential to seriously damage Superman, especially if he exploits his opponent's magical weaknesses. Zeus, if he fights seriously, can overcome even Thor with his godly powers and Thunderbolt. In an ideal scenario, Zeus would probably be the ultimate winner, given his superior status and power in both mythology and the MCU. Will, strategy, and circumstances all play a role. Superman, with the heart of a hero, can find a way to overcome any challenge, but when faced with gods like Thor and Zeus, he will need more than just strength to win. Zeus would likely be the ultimate victor in a fight between Superman, Thor, and himself. His divine supremacy, his status as Lord of Olympus, and the power of Thunderbolt, which can stand up to weapons of mass destruction like the Necrosword, would put Zeus on a different level. Zeus would likely be the ultimate victor in a fight between Superman, Thor, and himself. With his divine supremacy, Thunderbolt being able to stand up to weapons of mass destruction, and his superior durability as shown in the MCU, Zeus would surpass both Thor and Superman in a serious fight.